UK, I think part of the reason you guys have higher testosterone than in America is there's in Muslim spaces, it's just become normalized where men and women are together, they're talking casually and interacting, and it
Yeah.
actually affects the behavior of men. Men start taking the mannerisms of females, and they start acting, yeah, okay, some certain interactions are required just for business purposes, or you're part of a organization or a masjid, and yeah, there can be, according to proper hijab, an interaction between the opposite sex.
Yeah.
However, it's become something much more than that. Like, they have used this as a kind of a doorway to put their foot in the door to just normalize casual interaction, and it causes divorce. It causes zina, it causes this kind of feminization of the Muslim men. And because men just act differently. When you're in a gathering with other men, you act differently, you speak differently, you joke differently, you think differently. As soon as you bring one female into the gathering,
It's true.
then
Yeah.
it completely changes the dynamic. It ruins the dynamic, actually.
It's true. It does. It does. It ruins the dynamic. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So this is why we have to maintain segregation. It's important. I
Yeah.
know you're not speaking against that, but
Yeah.
we just have to make sure that people don't get the wrong impression, because it's a problem. It's a big problem in the U.S., and I don't want the same thing to happen in the UK, where you open the door. You open the door a little bit, and then people take a mile. Like, you give an inch, they take
Fair
a
enough,
mile,
yeah.
and so. But this question of marriage, I actually had a post that I wanted to read to you and get your reaction to it. I'm gonna put it on the screen, but you won't necessarily be able to see it, but the audience will see it. Okay, found out about my wife's past. Am I justified in wanting to divorce her? This is from Reddit. Someone Muslim posted. I'm a male, 29 years old. I've been married to my wife, who's 27, for 4 years. And before I married my wife, I'd always thought she had never had a past. She didn't seem like that sort of woman. And also, when I asked my wife whether she has ever had a relationship before, she told me no, that she's never been with a man, and even swore on Allah. So I had no reason to doubt my wife. She prays her daily 5 prayers, wears the hijab, and has a good character. In fact, before I married my wife, my family was told that she's a good religious woman and would make an excellent wife for me. Everyone vouched for her. Anyways, a few weeks ago, while I was cleaning my wife's room, I found medical reports from when she must have been around 18 to 20 before we met, where she was prescribed birth control, and she was told the doctor that she told the doctor that she had been intimately active. I also found evidence that my wife had once gotten pregnant, and she terminated her own pregnancy. At first, I
Does she
thought
have
these
kids
could
with the
be.
guy? Does,
What was that?
does he mention that? Did he mention that she had kids with him? Does she have kids with him?
Yes, it's getting there. At
Oh,
first,
okay.
I thought these could be maybe her sisters who aren't practicing and obviously date men, but the name and age on these reports were all my wife's. When I looked clearly, and I had no reason to doubt the papers in these files. I felt disgusted. I confronted my wife with the file and those papers, and she started to cry and tell me that those are her papers and that she did have promiscuous past when she was in university abroad. She studied in Canada on a scholarship, by the way. She told me that she never thought that I would find out that she has come across many fatwa that say that any sin, if you repent, that Allah has forgiven, it is like you never committed the sin, and that one is allowed to lie to conceal their past sins. I was really upset at the time, and I called her a bunch of names like 304. She was sobbing, and because I couldn't even look at my wife without imagining her with all those men who had her before me, I left the room. I'm beyond devastated, and I want to leave my wife. I feel like she only married me for the financial security, as she had asked me for a huge sum of mahar to give her a monthly allowance, and also is very demanding. But I can't believe that there were men who didn't have to do any of that to get my wife to be intimate with them, and now I feel like I was always the safe option she would marry after she did all that. I haven't spoken to my wife since that incident. Now, even though I want to leave her, my wife and I have a 2-year-old daughter together. I fear divorcing my wife could hurt our daughter, and also have a feeling my wife could tell our daughter stories about me so that she would see me as the villain in this situation. I mean, she would be the one who gets the custody of this child, and I would have to pay child support according to the law. That's why I'm confused as to what to do in this situation. A part of me feels like getting revenge on my wife by marrying another woman who is much prettier to get even once she becomes old, and then then leave her, to make her feel as betrayed as I did. I can't stand her anymore. I want to get out. Am I justified in wanting a divorce?
Well, look, for me, I would say a couple of things. In Islam, like let's go with the fiqhiyat first, from what I've understood, and then also let me just give my personal advice to the brother. And the fiqhiyat, the fiqhi aspects of things. Do you even need a reason to divorce your wife? You don't actually even need it. There's nothing in Islam that says you need a reason to divorce your wife. Now, it doesn't mean that you should therefore divorce your wife. It's not advisable to just divorce your wife, especially if you've got kids, etc., etc. But in terms of the protocol of divorcing your wife, do you actually need a mubarrir or a Allah or a sabab or a reason? Not in the abstracted ruling, okay? And people are going to take this out of context. I'm saying not in the abstracted ruling, not in the applied ruling, but in the abstracted ruling, there's not any requirement for that. However, now going back to the second thing about what she said and to him, she said that she was told that she could lie, because she's concealing a sin. I have to say I agree with that. I think she could lie for that. I believe that. I believe that she could lie for that because it's mbab akhaf ad-dararain. So you've got two sins. You've got the sin of her committing the sin, the sin of her spreading her sin, and then you've got the sin of her lying. I think the sin of lying is less than the sin of her saying it. And there's different fatwas on this, and you'll find it. Like you'll find all over the Muslim world scholars saying that if you've committed a sin and someone asks you directly, did you do this? And you lie, it's allowed in that situation because mbab akhaf ad-dararain is the lesser of the two evils. So I don't disagree that there's fatwas out there, and if she's following those fatwas, she's not sinful for that aspect of things.
No, but she doesn't have that qaida doesn't come into play because she's not forced to only have two options. She can just exit out of the arrangement. She can say, she can make an excuse that, I actually don't like you. I don't want to marry you. Or she can reject the marriage. She's not forced to those only two options.
But the thing is, when she's now made tawbah, the question is now she's made tawbah, she's now, it's like a ta'b min adh-dhanbi kaman la dhanba la. It's true. This hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who's done tawbah from a dhanb, from a sin, is like they've done no sin.
Yeah, in the sight of Allah, that is the case. But in terms of an actual contract, like let me give you another example. If someone has been a drug addict and he's been taking hard drugs and he knows it's a sin, or he's an alcoholic, he knows it's a sin and he's trying to get over it. He comes to the marriage and you ask as the father, are you have any drug abuse problems? He says no. And he thinks, I'm concealing my sin. It's almost like I haven't even sinned because I've made tawbah from this.
Is it current or is it past? Because the thing is, as we've mentioned,
well, that's the thing about an addict. An addict, it's in the past, but he could always relapse. And that's, you have a person who has done hard drugs. At that moment, they're not doing drugs, but they could always relapse. Shouldn't you have the right? Shouldn't you have the right to know that? As a wali,
done it in the past, and they've repented from it, and they don't want anyone to know about it. The question at hand is, can they lie about if someone asks them directly? And you'll find that there's different opinion. Some scholars will say no, because the sin of lying is more, and some scholars will say yes. The opinion I just follow, I'm not a mujtahid here, but the opinion I follow is that it makes sense for the lying. I think is less of a sin. It's because imagine a woman or a man or whoever it is committed zina, like I meant to tell people about that if they ask them, because there's an injunction against that in the hadith.
No, but they're not constrained to those two options. Like he can just say, as soon as that man or boy finds out that that's an issue for you and you've asked about it, he should just exit out. He shouldn't force you to, or he shouldn't lie to you in order to sell. Think about it like a contract, right?
I get it.
If you're selling something,
in their mind, they've done tawbah. In their mind, they're free from the sin because they've done tawbah.
No, but in their mind, this is not about the sin. The effects of that sin are very relevant to the terms of the contract. So, like in any kind of contract, like if I go steal a car and then I come and sell it to you, I say, "Oh, this is a legitimate car that I'm selling to you." I'm selling you something like this has a defective element to it because it has been illegally acquired.
Do you think the contract would become invalid, or do you think they would become sinful? What's your
you're selling something defective. You're selling something that with you're deceiving the party that in the contract.
Sure, but
You're
there's
this is
in
deception. You can't lie to
you've
even to
got
conceal a
two
sin.
you've got two ahkam here. You've got either the sahha of the nikah, the validity of it, and then you've got the hurma. You've got is this person sinful or not? It's possible that you can do something which is sinful, but it's the sahha of the nikah is still not affected, so it can be valid and sinful at the same time. That's an argument I think you can make. I don't think anyone can make the argument that the nikah is not valid. It's a valid nikah. Ijma'. There's definitely a valid nikah here. The question is whether she's sinful for not disclosing the information. I say that I think from what I've read from some of the fatwa of the modern age, there's two opinions. Some say she would be sinful. Some say she's not sinful, but it's which sin is more heavy, the sin of revealing her sins of the past that she's repented for, or the sin of lying.
No one's telling her. No one's telling her to reveal her sin. No one is. That's not even on the table. Don't reveal the sin.
No, but if you ask her point blank, did you have a past? And she's now saying no, so she's lying essentially. But then the question is that
no? You can answer questions without answering questions. You can answer questions without.
Yeah, huh? That's that. If she was able to do tawriyah in the same way the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked where you from, and he was they were trying to kill him, and he said ana min al-ma', and I was from water, then that is khuruj min al-khilaf. That's fine. But we're being practical here and thinking that really the conversation that's likely to have taken place is that he pressed her on the issue. So if she does tawriyah, there's only so much she can do tawriyah until she's going to get to the final stage. Now, I'm saying I can respect the opinion that says, okay, she should have revealed it. And I respect that opinion. But there is this other opinion. And I would be academic.
It's very damaging. This is an opinion that has caused like a lot of damage. As you can see, like there are many cases like this. And it also, it basically, it causes girls to not be careful about what they do in their lives because they think, well, I can have fun all I want. And then when it's time to get serious, I'll just lie about it. And by the way, I'm going to ask for a huge mahar. I'm going to ask for a huge amount of mahar and a monthly allowance.
Yeah, well,
so whereas if they're worried about the consequences, like I will not be able to find a decent Muslim husband if I engage in this behavior because I can't lie about it. And I listen to the actual fatwa. I've listened to the scholars speak about this and say, you cannot lie about your past, then I'm going to not engage in this kind of risky behavior. I'm not going to fall into zina. That is a huge discouragement.
So it's like deterrence. A mafsad argument. You can make a mafsad argument. I think you can make a mafsad argument. That's a good argument you made. It's a mafsad. It's more like a mafsad argument. But it's not like the mafasid masalih argument. Sometimes they can affect the ruling. Sometimes they don't affect the ruling. Once again, I'll leave it to the scholars. But I would offer her an excuse. I'm saying at this point, she's not away from Islamic scholarship. She's still within the remits of Islamic scholarship. So, like, she's not saying something.
Is there any kind of pre-modern fatwa on this? Because I haven't found any
there's even modern fatwas on it.
I know modern fatwas. The modern fatwa I think is influenced by feminism. I don't think I don't see any pre-modern fatwa on this.
That have no semblance of. They don't care. They asked this question. I remember Lajna Da'im and stuff. They answer. I've read this fatwa, but I was going to say that what I think this guy should do as an advice. Look, is he a day youth for staying with her? No, he's not, because he didn't know. He got into this relationship. He didn't know anything. Do I think that she's playing a game? It's possible, and it's possible that she's not playing a game. What do I recommend for the brother? Look, he said, I want to get married to another woman just for revenge. I think the first thing in these situations is never to act from an impulse of revenge. That wallahi, فليصفح وليغفروا ألا تحبون أن يغفر الله لكم. So forgive, forget. This tasaffuh, this idea of turning a page, is a very important thing with the Muslims. Generally speaking, having a hatred or ghil or anger for the Muslims is a very bad thing. It destroy you more than anyone else. Do not act out of revenge. That's my first advice to the brother. More of a batini, tasawwuf or tazkiyah type of a thing. Never act like that. What I'll say to the brother is, look, here's what I would do if I were you. Here's what I would do, all right? Don't ever feel bad about giving. For me personally, I never feel bad about giving a woman money. I don't care, okay? I gave her a mahar. Don't even speak about it, brother. Don't even speak about it. You agreed to it, it's done. Don't mention it. Because it's kind of like, it's like giving a gift and then reminding someone of it. Don't do it, yeah? You've given a mahar, done. Yeah, you've agreed on a monthly payment. Done. If she was able to strong arm you, I'm sorry to say that
Bro,
yeah,
Akhi,
but
like
now you
these
can now you
wives are not like you. These wives
yeah,
are not like your
yeah.
family.
If you feel that
We heard about your family, mashallah. You have a
yeah.
report card for your wife. You expect
No, but
breakfast in bed.
I'm gonna get to something. I'm gonna get to something.
These women are not.
That still
They're
haven't
getting the
haven't
monthly allowance, and they're not giving him breakfast in bed. They're not giving him
yeah.
like this
No, no,
kind
no,
of
no. If they're
treatment.
not giving him breakfast in bed, that's a different story. Because I'm gonna give him something now. I'm gonna give him the golden bullet. But before the monthly allowance, you can play around with that, brother. So if you feel like you're giving too much, the mahar you cannot take back. It's done. You gave it. You cannot take back. It's even verse in the Quran about it. You know, in Surah An-Nisa where it says, you know, I forget how. وكيف تأخذونه وقد أفضى بعضكم على بعض وأخذنا منكم ميثاقا غليظا. How can you take it back when you have had sex with each other and Allah has taken amongst you, a very solemn pledge? So that's number one. So the mahar, don't ever speak about it. It's done now. The monthly allowance, look, Islamic ruling that I've read, and Allahu Alam, is you have to give her the basics for what she's living. Yeah, she's not entitled to more than this. If she is rebellious, you can actually remove money from her monthly wage. So, for example, if she's nashes now, you're not going to give her money. Okay, or you can decide not to give her money. Now, obviously, you're not going to leave your family to be in a state of desperation or disenfranchisement or weakness or something like that. But you can, and nashes can the haqq of nafaqa can be removed from a nashes. That's in the books of fiqh. You can go to it. It's an easy thing. So you can reduce the monthly payment if you think you're paying too much, so long as you're covering the basics. And number two, you can you can even remove the amount if you think that she's going nashes on you, she's becoming rebellious on you. I think you should get married to a second woman. This is what I think you should do. I think you should take it upon yourself to get married to a second wife, because you will never be happy. But based on the levels of resentment that your message is showing, yes, don't be angry towards her, though. You will never be happy with this woman by herself. But because you've got a child, okay, because you have got a child, you should not, I think you should prioritize the child. Yeah, let's say she made a mistake. She might not have made a mistake, whatever. Put that to the side. She's done something that she shouldn't have done. She had a bad past. You feel sickened about it. It's within your right to divorce her. You can decide, you know what, brother, I'm not going to take your advice. I'm going to go back home. I don't care. Anti-taliq, good night. Some brothers would do that. And some brothers would do that, and I say, whatever. Okay. If you really feel like that about it, I don't blame you, brother. Go and do it, no problem. But what I'm saying I would do, this is what happened to me, and wallahi, I'd get married to 2 other women, not 1. I'd have 3 wives at this point, maybe 4 actually, because I think that now if this woman come back and say, actually, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I said, sorry, brother. So you want me to imagine you with this and that, and I'm not going to do this and that? No. You can use this as the opportunity, to psychological leveraging, so that you can go and get yourself a second and a third and maybe even a 4th wife, depending on what you can handle. And when you do that, you're going to find that the dynamic of the relationship, brother, is going to change completely. She's going to actually offer you more respect. Go and find the second wife. I'm telling you, Akhi, go and find it. And if she decides to leave, or she says, oh, this and that, jealous, whatever, and she tries to get whatever, then get out of here, man. We've already dealt with your lies. We've already dealt with this and that and the other. Yeah? Even though, once again, we give her the excuses and whatever. But you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that I think the best option for this particular situation is polygamy. This is what I think. It will save your first wife. It will save your marriage. It will have your kid will have a net outcome that's good, and you will be happy. That's what my advice.
It's good advice if we're living like in Islamic, state under Khilafah. Unfortunately, we live in a secular liberal world, and he's going to get divorce raped. Like he's going to be destroyed. Like if he goes and gets a second wife, she is going to pursue divorce in court and extract so many resources from him.
But he's going to go down anyway. He wants to divorce her. He wants to look. Think about this, Akhi. He's going to divorce her. He's going to go through that process anyway. He might as well get something out of it. You might as well now go get a second wife, a third wife. Enjoy.
That first wife is gone then. That first wife is gone. So what's the point?
I'll tell you. I'll give you another one, bro. If he doesn't want to tell her, then go and get a second wife without telling this woman.
It's so risky.
She hid the whole life from you. So what are
Yeah.
you scared of? You I'm sorry to say, you can get married to a second wife without your first wife's knowledge. You can, it's valid. Do something, Akhi. But I think the worst thing is you got to think about the child. The child in the situation is the most important variable. I would say divorce should be the last of your options. Number one option, I think you should do this. Just open marriage. Second, go and get a second wife. Simple as that. Go and get a second wife. Go and just go to the
People are
coffee
gonna
shop.
clip this. People need to clip this.
Go to the coffee shop. Go to the coffee shop or go to or go to the restaurant. Get the welly. Yeah, no problem. Say it with the second one. Yeah.
Check the proportions.
Make sure you check the proportions. Yeah, and make sure they're better than the first ones. I'm only joking. You don't have to be the better, but it's different. It's got to be tanawwa now. Yeah. If you've got a North African one, you have to go for the black. If you've got the black one, you have to go for the Asian. You know, if you've got the Asian, maybe you want to try the white. It's got to be a level of tanawwa and
variety
diversity in your taste. You got to refine your palate.
Refine your palate, yeah. You have a very refined palate, brother Hijab. I think we're appreciating a connoisseur right here. We're talking to a connoisseur.
Brother, go. Do it, akhi. It's not that hard. Go and do it, man. Bismillah. Have a different attitude towards the situation. Don't show her you're so insecure, you care too much about it. Oh, you had a past. Okay, so no more. I'm gonna have a future. You're gonna have a past. I'm gonna have a future. That's what the situation is. Yeah, you're gonna have a past. I'm gonna have a present right now. No problem. You had your fun. Now it's my turn. You say that. You say that here. Now it's my turn.
Yeah. It's good advice, but it's gonna result in a lifetime of misery.
Yeah, no, if you don't like her, remember the child is very important.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. The law is gonna take that child, and she can be so vindictive. And this is what the case. The law in the UK is the worst. Like the horror stories. We were on that podcast, remember, with the Muslim Father Support Forum. We had that whole discussion, like the amount of how they use the law to punish Muslim men. Especially if there's you don't even have to get a second wife. If you have even mentioned second wife, they will take you to court and make the rest of your life miserable. And they use the children as a leverage against you.
Doesn't matter. Just do it. At least you get something out of it. It doesn't let them. At least I'll have misery, but it's worth it. Just go for it. No problem. No problem. I'll go and do it. You don't even need to tell anybody that you're doing polygamy. Akhi, you can do shafawi nikah. Shafawi. You do it with, you don't even need papers, akhi. 4 madhabs, they say you can do nikah without papers. How is the law going to know anything? I'm not saying do this, but if you went to the court and say, yeah, this was my mistress. I'm not saying do this, but yani, what can they say? How can they disprove it?
No, that comes into consideration with the custody battle.
They all
you're unreliable. It's still considered unreliable for men to have a mistress. They can use that in court against you. And anyway, I mean, this is it's good to have your kind of optimism, and men need to have this kind of perspective instead of being simps. Like this is what you're saying. Don't be a simp. This is what you're saying.
Solution, akhi. That's the solution. And then just watch it. At least, akhi, just try it. Don't do something. Go and do it, akhi. Simple. Second, third, fourth. Actually go for 2 at the same time. You'll be fantastic if you do that. I can show how respectful you will go from here, inexperienced Muslim man and so that, and I was doing this and I was doing that, to here. I can show, okay, wait up. He's doing this, that, and the other. Okay, say no more. That's what I think you should do.
Yeah.